Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday afternoon here, and just coming to you with another video working through some of the teaching for the Gospel Project. Um, Man, I really enjoy this material. I hope you do too. We're going to spend the next couple of weeks looking at Joseph and his life, which is a very interesting subject to study, specifically because, man, it just seems like stuff keeps going wrong to Joseph. And the question you ask the whole time is, does God not love him enough to get him out of those situations? And it's at the end of the story that you really see God's bigger purpose and God's bigger plan and all of that. And I think it's really good for us in our life because every one of us go through tough times, tough situations. And so it's good for us to remember that his ways are not our ways, his thoughts are not our thoughts, that he has better things in store and better things planned than we do. And it might even mean that it's not till eternity, but it does mean that he has better things planned for us. But we're going to start at the beginning of his story here, and this is a story that a lot of people enjoy. It's the where we hear about his coat of many colors and his brothers who hate him. Which, I mean, I don't know about you, but if your brothers already like you, probably the best thing you shouldn't do is tell them all that you had a dream where they're all going to bow down to you. Um, it's not going to go over well. I think it's a good time where you can even talk to students about what the difference is for them being the older sibling versus the younger sibling. And so you'll have a good mix in the room. You'll have older, younger, and middle. And so that might be funny to kind of joke with them of, you know, who here older siblings feel like the younger sibling gets special treatment? You know, who here younger siblings feel like the older siblings get a boss around, all those kind of things. And then do the younger siblings feel like they get it special treatment? So, just to joke around with the students, I think is fun on the subject. But man, we see that their jealousy and their envy of their brother leads them to do something pretty terrible. At one point, they wanted to kill him, but then they decide to sell him into slavery, which is just as good as them killing him, selling them into slavery. And so, and then they lie to their father and tell them that they killed him. And so, man, it's just this really intense story of, I think, one that we can talk to our students about the fact that, man, what we might think that our anger is not that big of a deal, but man, anger can grow and grow and grow to the point to where we make drastic decisions that we significantly regret later on. And so, just know that, man, anger, if we don't handle it, starts out as a seed, but it grows to a large tree that ends up, when it falls, man, it falls hard. So something to talk to our students about. I think a couple other things they point out in here that's pretty interesting is about favoritism. As we've seen, Jacob is not the most perfect man in the world, and we see here again that he's favoring his son Jacob. And they ask this question, which I think is good, and is how has favoritism harmed you or others in a family or at school or in some other setting? Here's what I think would be good for us to do, just to kind of help our students be aware, even to think outside themselves. Well, one, have they been on the other side of favoritism, meaning like, you know, like they've seen people favored over them. But on the other side, I think it's good for us to look at culture and look at society and say, hey, do we see that there are people who have it easier than others? Do we see that there are people who are treated better than others? I know our group is 99% white. We need to have an honest conversation of the fact that, man, like I mean, with us being the majority, a lot of things come a lot easier for us than it is if you're a minority. And we need to be aware of that. And we need to make our students aware of that. That way they know how to respond and help those who are minorities have a voice. So favoritism is not good. God is completely against partiality. Jesus is against partiality. He never goes well and he never condones it. So yeah. So there's that. So we see all those things there. I think it's good for us to talk about that, dealing with favoritism, and then affirming the image of God in all people. I think is extremely important. Affirming the image of God in all people, because if we do that, then favoritism becomes less and less likely. When we see that we were all created equally inside of God's image, there's not one people that are better than other, not one skin color that's better than other, not an economic status that makes you better than other. No, we were all created equal in the image of God. So we want to make sure we teach that to students now so they might treat others better in society. Then they move over onto jealousy, to where we see this jealousy causes them to do something terrible, which is to throw their brother into a pit, think about killing them and sell them into slavery. And it's just, as we said earlier, that can grow and be really bad. But then also through here, and then we'll see this throughout the whole story of Joseph that we want to focus on, is this whole point of that God has a better story in mind. And that what it says this at the end of the story, what Satan meant for evil, God meant for good. It didn't even just say that what Satan meant for evil, God used for good. What Satan meant for evil, God meant for good. What that means is what might seem like Satan has complete control in a situation actually means that God has complete control in the situation and that he is working in and through it, right? Satan thought that he had control when he had convinced Judas to betray Jesus. But what he didn't know is that the greater story is that that had to happen so that Jesus might be crucified and live so that me and you might have life forever. So those kind of things that we look at helps us see the sovereignty of God and how that is a great thing, because that means that he always has he wants what's best for us more than we do. He loves us more than we do. And we see that even here in the life of Joseph, that Joseph goes through some pretty rough stuff ultimately to get to where God wants him to be so that he might save the entire people of Israel. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Hope you enjoy teaching this week. Yeah, and hope you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe in the ice tomorrow. See you guys. Bye.